Hello everybody, my name is Hope, welcome back to my channel. I'm musicals, then back to my life today. We're seeing Bonnie and Clyde. I did literally just take a video, literally like 10 seconds ago, and now I'm filming again, but you're gonna have to deal with that. This is Bonnie and Clyde. Go watch my music video if you haven't already. But yes, watching Bonnie and Clyde at the Garrick Theatre as someone's getting murdered. But yeah, I'll talk to you more when I'm inside. Hello, like I said, I really hope this music isn't copyright. Hopefully this music isn't copyright, if so, that'll be really sad. I might try and find a way to cut it out, but we'll find it. Anyway, I'm not Bonnie and Clyde. I don't actually know that much about Bonnie and Clyde, I'll be honest. I know like 4 songs, but other than that, I really don't know. Also, this theatre is very intimate, like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's quite a small theatre. Like, I mean, we have good seats. We're on row E, let me just show you. But yeah, we are seeing Bonnie and Clyde. I know the lighting is atrocious, but there's really not much I can do about that, so sorry. But yeah, not much to report. I literally came straight from Newsies here to Bonnie and Clyde. So, slay for me, first 2 show day ever. Hopefully many more in the future. But yeah, that's all I've got to say really. So, yeah, see you at the interval. Sorry for this useless commentary, but anyway, bye. Hello, it's the interval. I spent my entire interval trying to upload a TikTok for it to not even upload, so RIP me, I guess, but it's fine. I'm at Bonnie and Clyde. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought. I thought I was going to enjoy it, but like, I really like it. I'll explain more, and obviously I can't speak a ton because the interval is literally about to end. We have like 2 minutes left. But yeah, very good so far. Okay, so we're talking about Bonnie and Clyde. Sorry, I just got distracted. I thought there was a crack in my window, but I think it's just a piece of string. Anyway, I'm talking about Bonnie and Clyde, and the first thing I want to say out of the gate is this is a great show, and to the people who don't like it, I don't get it. Actually, I do, but I really, really liked it. I knew little to nothing going into it, and then to come out of it and have enjoyed it so much was just like a really nice experience, because like, no offense to some of the shows I've seen recently, but I've come out just being like, yeah, it was fine, it was good, but I hadn't truly like enjoyed it, and I felt with Bonnie and Clyde that was really the case. I've had a lot of people say that there's a really big issue with the book of the show, and I just have to strongly disagree about one thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. I think the book is great. In fact, I think the book is arguably stronger than a lot of the books, and if you don't know what a book is, it's the fancy word for a script. I think it's one of the better ones on the West End, if I'm completely honest. My biggest issue was really the opening and the end. The end was my biggest thing, because I felt like the show ends quite abruptly. This is a spoiler if you don't know the story of Bonnie and Clyde, but I have a feeling most people do. Obviously Bonnie and Clyde die at the end, but like, we don't see their death, we just get their death described to us at the beginning, and at the end they basically say we're gonna go out together and leave the stage. Like, no song, no, nothing like that. They just say, we're gonna go, and they leave. And then they're like, yep, these 2 people died. And you're like, well, yeah, I already knew that because you told me at the beginning. I was expecting to, you know, see it. It's like in TV shows where they're like 12 hours earlier, and then like, you end up not seeing what happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how the ending felt to me, and I was just like, even if it was just like a song, or like, I feel like a song would have been that's a great place to have one, and the fact they didn't have one I thought was kind of annoying, but I liked the rest of the show like a lot, so it didn't really ruin the experience for me. I think from a technical standpoint the show is quite simple, but I don't feel like that hinders the show massively. It has like sliding doors, and that's kind of it, but I feel like for the kind of show it is, and for the style of show that it is, that's enough. Like, you know from like the very beginning, this is not a quote-unquote high budget production like Phantom or Frozen or Hamilton. Like, it just does not have the same amount of money pumped into it because it doesn't need it. Like, I think the show has more than enough for what it needs. I don't feel like it needs more. And so from that perspective, I thought it was good. Like, sound, lighting, again, it's all very simple and you don't really need it. It's not a huge part of the show. Obviously, this is an adapted production from a concert version. So even when upscaling the production, they didn't need to upscale it tons because the show was so popular when it was literally in concert form. So upgrading it to like a stage format, you didn't need it, and so I thought it was fine the way it was. Performers wise, I had a full cast as far as I was aware, and I just want to say that I don't think there wasn't one non-extremely talented person. I'm not saying in other shows that there aren't people who are like really talented and really not talented. I'm saying it in the sense of like, normally in a show I'll have favourites and people that to me like stood out really as like standout performers, but I really think that among the four main characters, which is Bonnie, Clyde, Blanche, and I want to call him Marvin, but that's not Buck. Marvin's his real name. Buck. Out of the four of those, I feel like they were all just strong in their own ways and all doing different things with the characters. And I think all the ensemble and the supporting was also great. I felt like all four of them were strong, and I feel like I cared enough about the characters to be upset when things happened to them. I think they all have insane voices. Jordan Luke Gay just raised a little hell. Can we complain? No, we cannot. I think Frances May Lee was also great. No complaints whatsoever. I thought she was a really interesting Bonnie. I felt like she made a lot of choices that you shouldn't compare performers, but compared to like Laura Osnes, I think that Frances's interpretation was a lot more thorough and more interesting to watch. And I think her performance made more sense as to how Bonnie became Bonnie, because in a lot of ways she's seen as like innocent, and she wasn't. She did kill people, she did do that, and I think Frances like really drove that, and I understood the motivations of Bonnie as a character. I think Buck was fine. He did what he needed to do. Like, the character itself doesn't have a huge arc. I felt like when he went back to prison, that made a lot of sense to me. Him wanting to go back to crime, not necessarily in the character choices he made, but I also don't think that the book really gave room for that, because that's not what the story's about, so he didn't make it a bad performance, if that made sense. I think Jodie Seal was also great. Again, the character doesn't have a huge arc, but definitely I think Blanche has the most like funny lines in the show, and she did them very well. As someone who doesn't really like comedy all that much, I thought that Bonnie and Clyde is a genuinely funny show. Like, the comedy that they do is funny, and it's not just like cheap jokes, which as someone who loves writing, I really appreciated. And I just think as a whole, the show is just great. I really, really liked it, and I understand why other people like it too, because I think the music's its own thing, you know, it's unique. Frank Wildhorn music. Can we complain? No, we can't. I think it's just something a bit different to your classic musical, and it's nice to see that. It's nice to have, you know, new things, even though the show isn't actually that new. It's kind of new to the UK, and so I do really appreciate that. And I just think the show as a whole, it's just a fun time. Like, you're having fun, you're invested in a story. Like, this feels a bit more like a play with music. It's definitely not. It's definitely written and driven as a musical, but I think it goes more towards play elements than other classic musicals do. And I just want to say, like, if you're thinking about going to watch a show, go watch it. I had so much fun, and as someone who like literally knew like 4 of the songs and like none of what it was about, like, it's so worth it. Like, I really liked it. I'm sure you'll really like it too. I just think everyone should have a really good time at Bonnie and Clyde, if I'm honest. But I think that's all I have to say. Because there's not a ton of like technical aspects, I think this is probably a bit shorter than most of my other reviews. But what do you think? Have you seen Bonnie and Clyde? Do you know Bonnie and Clyde music? Are you excited for the UK cast recording to come out? Because I certainly am. They will all be going on my Spotify playlist when it does. But thank you so much for watching this video. You can like it if you like it, and you can subscribe down below if you feel like it. You can also follow me at all my social medias, which will be right there. But thank you so much for watching. Keep enjoying musicals as much as me, and I will see you in the next one.